8 o'clock news. Okay, Zag the Gemara, Yud Zayin Amabeis. So we were talking yesterday about Hashochet et Hazevach. We quoted a brisa, and it seemed to have implied the same machloket that we had in our Mishnah. That if you're kometz the mincha or you shech the zevach, menas to eat something that's not supposed to be eaten, i.e. the kometz, or to burn something that's not supposed to be burnt, i.e. the shirayim. So then there was a machlokes between the Tanakama and Rabbi Eliezer. But then in the next part of the brisa, we brought a very interesting thing, which we said that if you have intent to leave the dam lemachar, and we didn't explain it 100% yesterday because it wasn't clear, but now in the Gemara it's going to be clear that laniach midama milmachar does not mean that you're leaving all of the blood, to leave all of the other blood until tomorrow. It can't mean leaving all the blood till tomorrow, because if you leave all, is this recording?
Yes.
Thank you. If you leave all the blood until tomorrow, then there's clearly nothing to be talked about. For sure it's pigul, because if you don't have any blood, then you can't do zrika, etc. So it means you have the blood, you set it aside, but now you're going to do the zrika with the blood, but you left some of the blood until lamachar. So over there, we said in the brisa, Rabbi Yehuda is posel, and then Rabbi Elazar says even Rabbi Eliezer is posel, but the chamim are machshirin. So we had this whole back and forth, but now we're saying that there are three machlokas bedavar. Really, Rabbi Eliezer holds that you never get kares, even in the case of our Mishnah, not just when you're passive, but in the case where you're active as well, where you dafka want to burn something, you have intention to burn something that's supposed to be eaten and eat something that's supposed to be burnt, you're not going to get kares. So how do you explain this case of the dam? So the Gemara says, lo, on the third to last line in Yud Zayin Amabeis, the kuli alma kares leka, there's no kares in the first case, unlike Ravasi. V'hacha gimel machlokes is bedavar. By the dam, there are three machlokes how to explain this brisa. Number one is Tanakama Savar B'Hanach Pligi. I don't want to confuse Tanakama with Chachamim. So the first opinion is that B'Hanach Pligi, that only in the Reisha they argue. In the Reisha where you're eating something that's supposed to be burnt and burning something that's supposed to be eaten, which is our Mishnah, that's where there's a machlokas, whether it's kosher because we don't care. If you're doing the wrong thing, then we don't care. Or it's posel. For sure there's no kares, but then it's posel according to Rabbi Eliezer. But in the Seifa, lehaniach divrei kol kosher. In the case where you want to leave over some leftover blood, that's going to be kosher because at the end of the day, you're being passive and you're just not doing anything active. Says Rabbi Yehuda Savar, and we're going to question this one, Rabbi Yehuda Savar B'Hanach Pligi. Rabbi Yehuda agrees that in the Reisha, they disagree. The case where you're going and switching eating for burning. Lahaniach divrei kol pasol. He agrees that everybody agrees. He agrees with the first opinion that everybody agrees in the Seifa by the case of leaving the blood. However, as opposed to the first opinion, that in the case of leaving the blood, everybody agrees that it's kosher, according to this opinion, Rabbi Yehuda, everybody agrees that it's pasol when you leave the blood. Why would it be pasol? So Rashi explains that they made a gezerah. Sure, it's not pigul. What would the gezerah be when I leave some of the blood? If I say I'm leaving some of the blood until tomorrow, gezerah, it's going to be pasol. Gezerah what? Gezerah that if I would leave all of the blood till tomorrow, we said for sure it's going to be pasol. It'll be pasol, it'll be pigul, whatever the intention is. If you leave all the blood until tomorrow, for sure the korban is pasol because then you have no blood to do zerika with. So gezerah, it's the case where you're going to leave where you're going to leave all of the blood. Gezerah, when you leave or you have intent to leave some of the blood, we're going to pasol it as well. Now, if you're making gezerahs, it's not pigul. Gezerahs means pasol. So they say again, he agrees. In principle, he agrees with the Tanakama about the Reisha, but he disagrees as to what the Sefer is saying. And then the third opinion, my time, Gzera mixas damo atu kol damo v'chol damo psula d'oraisa. The reason for Rabbi Yehuda, the second opinion, why everybody says that lehaniach divrei kol pasol, that if you have intent to leave some blood until tomorrow, it's pasol, is because again, Gzera, that you might leave all the blood.
What's actually pasol?
Everything. The korban. Again, you're shechting a korban, and when you shech the korban, you have in mind to leave some of the dam until tomorrow. So again, the given is that if I shech the korban and I leave the dam until tomorrow, the korban's pasol, because I haven't done zrika. The point is that if I shech the korban with intent to leave the dam till tomorrow, we're not going to say it's pigul, because again, you're not doing anything. You're just passively letting it go. You have intent, but you can't get kares. But gezerah, since had you had intent to leave the dam until tomorrow, it would have been pigul. And now that you have intent to leave some of the dam until tomorrow, even though it's not pigul, we're going to make a gezerah. Had you left all the dam until tomorrow, and therefore we're going to say that the korban is pasol, as if you had just left all the dam until tomorrow.
So if you eat it, you'll get maybe lashes or something.
Seemingly, it would be like...
If you don't eat it, what happens to you?
Nothing, but the point is that pasol is that you weren't yotzei whatever you needed the korban to accomplish. We're not just bringing korbanos stam. Sometimes we do, but if we bring a chatas or something, so then you want the chatas to take effect or whatever it is. And if it doesn't take effect, if it's pasol, not only can you not eat it, It doesn't take, if you have to bring an oli, you're not eating it anyway, but if it's pasul, then lamaisa at the end of the day, you have to redo what you were doing. Says the Gemara, D'Tanya, we see that the dam is going to be pasul again if you leave it till tomorrow. Amar lahem Rabbi Yehuda, ya tamodin lushim henichu lamachar shepasol, chishav lanichu lamachar nami pasol. That's what we just said, that you agree with me that if you leave it till tomorrow, it's pasul. Therefore, if you have intent to leave it till tomorrow, some of it, we're going to make a gzera. And the third opinion is va'asar Rabbi Lazar. That's what Rabbi Lazar says, and says, af bezu Rabbi Eliezer posel. What does he hold? He says that what? I agree. So everybody agrees that in the Reisha there's a machlokes. It's clear in the Gemara. Hashochet et hazevach, that kosher talmud-bavli says, and Rabbi Eliezer says posel. The question is, what's happening in the seifa? So, according to the first opinion, they're agreeing in the seifa that it's kosher. According to the second opinion, they're agreeing in the seifa that it's pasul. According to the third opinion, they're disagreeing in the seifa. The one says kosher and one says pasul. So now we're going to question the second opinion, which happens to be Rabbi Yehuda, who's in our brisa also, again, where he says posel. So according to the way we're learning now, again, don't lose the big picture. So now we're questioning, does Rabbi Yehuda really hold that if I have intent, when I'm shechting the korban, to leave some of the dam until tomorrow, it's going to be pasul, gezerah, that had I left all of the dam until tomorrow, then it would have been, or had I had intent to leave all the dam until tomorrow, it would have been bad. Therefore, if I have intent to leave some of the dam until tomorrow, it'll be bad. Does he really say this? V'atanya, listen to this long brisa here. And let's again get the details. Amar Rabbi said the following: Kishalachti lematzos midosai eitzer Rabbi Eliezer ben Shamua. When I went to go ahead and to learn from Rabbi Eliezer ben Shamua, v'amrila lematzos midosav shel Rabbi Eliezer ben Shamua. Matzasi Yosef HaBavli Yosef Lefanov. So Yosef HaBavli was sitting in front of Rabbi Eliezer ben Shemua. Vayechavilo b'Yosef ad la'achas. And it sounds like Yosef was very chaviv to Rabbi Eliezer ben Shemua. Amar lo, he said, Rabbi. So Yosef said to Rabbi Eliezer ben Shemua, Rabbi, hashochet hazevach l'niach midamo l'machar mao. This is our exact case. If you shech the zevach with intent to leave midamo, some of the dam until tomorrow, what's the din? So we said, well, there's three opinions. Either everybody says kosher, everybody says pasul, or there's a machlokes. But what did Rabbi Yehuda say? Rabbi Yehuda said that everybody says it's pasul, gzeira, for leaving all the dam. So let's see what Rabbi Eliezer ben Shemua said. Amar lo kosher. He said it's kosher. So, like many times, people ask me a question and then they don't trust me. So Arvis Amar lo kosher. So he asked him again at Mariv. He said kosher. Shachris, the guy starts walking over to me. I try to get out. I can't. Amar lo kosher. He says kosher again. Tzarayim Amar lo kosher. The guy's got nothing else to do. He calls me again in the afternoon. He says kosher. Mincha Amar lo kosher. In Mincha he says it's kosher. Ela Rabbi Eliezer posel. But Rabbi Eliezer is posel. So the first 4 times he said kosher. But there is an opinion who says pasul. Who was that? Well, he says Rabbi Eliezer, and we know again that Rabbi Yehuda held what? Rabbi Yehuda held l'divrei hakol it's pasul. So clearly Rabbi Eliezer ben Shamu is telling Yosef, seemingly, that the halacha is not like Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda said everybody holds pasul in that case, and he's telling you kosher, but there is an opinion that says pasul. As soon as he told him pasul, tsavu panav shel Yosef HaBavli, they became tzahov. He was happy. Amal Yosef kimeduma nishalo kivanenu shemaseinu adata. Sounds like you didn't understand what I was saying until now. Amarlo Rabbi Hain, I did. Elish Rabbi Yehuda pasol shanali v'chazarti akol tamida v'vikashi li chaver v'lo matzasi achshav sheshanisa li pasol hechazarta li avedasi. So Yosef says the following. Yosef says, the reason that I was troubled is because I had learned from Rabbi Yehuda, who was my father's Rebbe, as we'll see. I had learned from Rabbi Yehuda that in this case, where I have intent to leave some of the dam l'machar, it's pasul. So I kept asking you, because every time I asked you, you told me kosher. It's not like I had learned. Finally, when you told me that there's an opinion, Rabbi Eliezer, who holds pasul, so now I got happy, because you returned my aveda to me. So the Gemara asks, I don't understand. Zalgin of Demoshe, Rabbi Eliezer ben Shemua. First of all, the eyes of Rabbi Eliezer ben Shemua started to cry out. Why? Omar, he said, Ashreichem tamidecham shedivrei Torah chavim aleichem biyosef. This is the song. Anybody want to sing? This is not the song. Shedivrei Torah chavivin aleichem. That's the song. Ashreichem, Ashreichem. So now you have the source of the song. It's not just made up. Yeah, you should have brought your keyboard today. Okay. So Ashreichem, this is the song of Ashreichem. So Ashreichem tamidei chachamim, that they're so chaviv that they cry when they hear. Karlav and Mikra, and then another song. Ma'ahafti Torah Kol Hayomi Sichasi. So he said the Mikra that he loves Torah. All day he's talking about Torah. Ha mipnei Rabbi Yehuda benoshe Rabbi Eli. So he says, because, and the Gemara is telling us, because Rabbi Yehuda was the son of Rabbi Eli was a talmud of Rabbi Eliezer. Lefichach shana lecha mishnas Rabbi Eliezer. So he explains to him the reason that Rabbi Yehuda held this is because his father's Rebbe was Rabbi Eliezer. So Rabbi Yehuda was saying like his father's Rebbe. The Gemara says, I understand. Why did he feel better? It sounded like Yosef felt better when at the following mincha, Rabbi Elazar ben Shemua said to him, it's kasher, but you should know that Rabbi Eliezer says pasel. Why did that make him feel better? He was basically saying to him, the halacha is not like you learned. He learned pasel. The whole time he kept asking, what is it? Kasher, 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 kasher. Finally he says, kasher, but there's an opinion that says pasel. So now he's happy. You returned. Why is he happy all of a sudden? Shkayach. So now he knows that there's an opinion, but we still don't pasel like that opinion. So who cares that he learned it from Rabbi Yehuda? So the doctor, thinking ready what the Gemara is going to say, I see it in his face, says a Gemara, Iu plukta ka'amarle, elamai, kasha Rabbi Eliezer postelasne, ihachi mai ha-mipnei, ananami plukta ka'masninan. Fine. Ela la'olam divrei kol pastelasne, umah chazarta li avedasi, da'hada le miyashum paslas ba'ilam. It's not that he was happy that he knows that they paskin like his father's Rebbe. He was happy that he wasn't losing his mind. He thought, that's what you were thinking. Okay, good. I know. I saw the face. He thought that Rabbi Yehuda, he was upset because he had learned something from Rabbi Yehuda. He couldn't find anybody who said like Rabbi Yehuda. He wasn't happy when he found out that he didn't care. Not that he didn't care. He was fine that the halacha wasn't like Rabbi Yehuda. That's fine. There's shivim panim l'Torah. He was happy that he had somebody else who clarified the fact that he wasn't crazy and that when he heard his Rebbe say, when he heard Rabbi Yehuda say pasol, it was actually based on something. So it comes out again that it is pasol. Rabbi Yehuda can hold that, again, that there's a divrei kol, but again, the story teaches us that, it's kosher. Well, it says according to Rabbi Elazar ben Shemua, it's kosher. According to Rabbi Yehuda, it would be divrei kol pasal. And Rabbi Yehuda was based on his father's teacher, Rabbi Eliezer. That's what the Gemara says.
Yeah, and we don't pass it that way.
Seemingly, we don't pass it like that. Correct.
We're talking about menachos, right? I mean, we've spent
I'm sorry?
We're still talking about menachos. I mean, we spent all this time talking about the korban. But really, it's just the korban that's brought with the mincha that
No. What do you mean? Lav dafka.
I mean, we spent all this time about the blood.
We're just happen to be in the sugya of shachting something to leave from the dam lamachar. So we got a little bit of a tangent.
But really, it's
no. This is a special. This is a different sugya. We got on a tangent, but in general, we were talking about menachos. But this was a tangent that we were bringing in because the first part of that Mishnah discussed what? Discussed eating shechting zevach al-manas, to eat something that's supposed to be burnt and burn something that's supposed to be eaten. We brought it in, then we analyzed the second. Welcome to Gemara. Zak the Mishnah. Lo yitzak, lo bala, lo patas, lo malach, lo hanif, lo higish, o shapitaton patim berubos, lo mashchan kshera. Zak the Gemara. No. Okay, Zak the Mishnah. Lo yitzak means to pour the oil. So Rashi explains, even though we'll see maybe it's a little bit different, Rashi in the Mishnah seems to explain that lo yitzak means that they poured, and again, it's important to get the klalim, as always. It sounds like they poured oil 3 times. They poured a lug of oil, and they poured, as we'll see, 60 arcirises of flour into a korban mincha. And it was an exact science. It was exactly the right ingredients, straight from God. So, lo yitzak means what? First they would pour oil, Rashi says. Look at the first Rashi. Hainu yitzika achrona, de betchila notein shemen bekli. They would put a little bit of shemen in a kli, v'yachar kach soles, and then the Shita Mikubet says, adds, they would put flour, v'chozer v'yotzeik shemen, then it would add more shemen, ubolel, and they would mix it. So they put in some oil, some flour, some more oil, mix it, and when they were finished, they would put on shemen for a 3rd time. So Rashi seems to imply, even though we'll see in the Gemara, it's not necessarily true. Lo yitzak might mean, according to the Gemara, just you didn't put in the oil at all. We'll see what that means. Lo yitzak, if you didn't pour the oil, seemingly the 3rd time. Lo balal, if you didn't mix it. You poured in the oil and the flour, and it sort of mixed on its own, but you never went ahead and actively mixed it together. Lo patas, you never broke it. There are certain korban minchas that are baked. And those korban minchas that are baked, you have to crumble it into pieces because you have to be able to take a kometz. The kohen needs to be able to take a kometz and burn the kometz. He can't burn the entire thing if it's one big matzah. So he has to at least break off pieces. So he didn't break it into pieces. Rashi says he didn't break it into a lot of pieces. He still had to have broken at least one piece off to be able to do the kmitza. V'lo malach, he didn't salt what he needed to salt. That means that if he's dealing with a regular korban mincha where he takes off the kamitza, as we've been discussing, when you burn the kamitza, you salt it. If it's a korban mincha which is being totally burnt on the mizbeach, then you salt that entire mincha before you burn it on the mizbeach. Lo hinif, there are certain minchas you have to wave. Lo higish, the minchas, it says, even though we've been talking about the whole time where you take off the kamitza, there's actually a halacha of hagasha where you have to bring the entire mincha before you take off the kamitza. You carry the mincha, I'm not exactly sure why, but you carry the mincha to the southwest corner of the mizbeach. O shepatadam pitim merubos, or you broke them into large pieces. And the Gemara is going to ask, why do you have to tell me this? It's pashut. If I don't break it at all except for one piece, it's kasher. What do you tell me that if I broke it up into large pieces, it's kasher? V'lo mashchan, you didn't do the meshicha, it doesn't mean to take. That means that on certain korban minchas, again, which are baked whole, afterwards, there's a halacha that you have to take oil and you have to smear it on top of the korban mincha. If you don't do any of these, it's kshera. It's still kasher. So Gemara asks, Milo yitzak. What does it mean that you didn't pour the oil? Eli malo yatzak klali kuva kasaba. He says, how could it be? And the Gemara again seems to be understanding you didn't pour the oil at all. Of course, it can't be that you didn't pour the oil at all, because if you don't pour the oil, then it's ma'akev and you don't have a korban mincha. Ella, what does lo yatzak mean? Lo yatzak kohen elazar. Of course, you have to pour in oil. But if the kohen doesn't pour in the oil, but the zar pours in the oil, a non-kohen, it's still going to be kasher. Listen to this beautiful Gemara. Ihachi lo balal nami. If lo yatzak means a kohen didn't do it, it's still kasher. Then what does lo balal mean? That what? Lo balal kohen elazar. It means a zar did the belila, it's still going to be kasher. The problem is halo balal klal psula. If you learn the same way as the Reisha says if you don't pour the oil at all, it's pasul. If a zar pours the oil, it's kasher. Go to the next part. If you don't pour the oil, if you don't mix it all, it's pasul. If a zar mixes, it's kasher. There's only one problem with that. Says the Gemara v'hatanan, we know that if you don't mix, it's still kasher. Because what do we see? Shishim nivlalin, that 60 is mixed. If you have 60 esronim of flour, it gets mixed with 1 lug of shemen. Shishim ve'echad ein nivlalin. And 61 doesn't get mixed. Therefore, you can't bring 61 into a kli because you can't put in more than 1 lug. And if you go ahead and you put in 61, you won't be able to mix it. So what does that imply? So the Gemara there asks, who cares if you bring 61? It's saying 61, logistically, you're not going to be able to mix. There's not going to be enough, there's going to be too much flour. Right? I've not really done it, but I did it once actually. If you go ahead and you make chal and you put in too much, if you put in too much flour and not enough oil or whatever, eggs, you can't mix anything. There's nothing to mix. It's all flour. So saying that God gave us a exact recipe. If you're supposed to put in 60 esronim of flour with 1 log of shemen. So if you do that, then you mix it. If you put in 61, you can't mix it. Says the Gemara, Ki eino nivlala mayhave. Who cares if you can't mix it? What's the problem? V'hatnan, our Mishnah says, lo balak shera. So the Gemara there uses our Mishnah to understand that lo balal means what? Lo balal klal. Right? The Gemara there is asking from our Mishnah, or is proving from our Mishnah, that our Mishnah says lo balal kshera. We're learning now lo balal means what? A Kohen doesn't do the mixing. Balal means to mix. The Kohen doesn't do the mixing. A zar does the mixing. But over here, what? The Gemara seems to be learning from our Mishnah that when it says lo balal kshera, that he didn't mix it, it's kasher, that means he didn't mix it at all. That's how the Gemara's understanding. And how did it answer? If in fact, if you don't mix it, it's kasher, so then why can you add 61 to a log of oil? Who cares if you don't mix it? Ramar Rav Zera, because Rav Zera says, Kal araya lebila ein bila ma'kevesbo, v'chol she'ein araya lebila bila ma'kevesbo. So Gemara says something very interesting. The Gemara says that if it's fit, and this happens a lot in Gemara, if it's fit to be mixed, i.e. it's possible to be mixed, then you don't have to mix it. Because what will happen, seemingly, again, I'm just explaining, the oil and the flour will automatically mix. But if it's not fit to be mixed, then if you don't mix it, it's not going to work. And even if you do mix it, you're not going to be able to mix it. So at the end of the day, you don't have to mix it. So it comes out over there but the point is that from that Gemara, it comes out that as long as it's fit to be mixed, a regular case, lo balak shera. If you have the regular ingredients, if you put in the right ingredients, which is what you should be doing, and you don't mix it, it's kosher. So I don't understand. Over there, it seems to imply what? That when our Mishnah says lo balal, it means literally lo balal. If you don't mix it, it's still kosher if you have the right ingredients. When it says that if you don't mix it, it's puzzle, that's when you have the wrong ingredients, when you have too many ingredients. But how can you explain our Mishnah as being lo balal by a Kohen, but by a Zar, yes, which implies that if you don't mix it at all, it's puzzle. The Gemara there clearly understands our Mishnah as saying that if you don't mix it at all, it's still kosher. So says the Gemara, you're right. Midi Aryeh, Hakadisa v'Hakadisa, lo yitzak Kohen elazar, lo bala klal. You don't have to learn the first part of the Mishnah and the second part. The only reason you have a whole problem is because you figure that if lo yitzak means that what? That lo yitzak clearly means, again, what does the Mishnah say? Lo yitzak kosher. Lo bala kosher. Lo yitzak needs to mean lo yitzak a Kohen, but a zar, because it can't mean that you didn't pour the oil kosher. It's impossible to say you didn't pour the oil, it's kosher, because there's no oil. So lo yitzak means a Kohen didn't pour the oil, a zar poured it, a non-Kohen, it's kosher, fine. So we assume the problem is that you have to then plug in the same exact parameters into the next part of the Mishnah. It says, why do you have to do that? Now you can just learn the next part of the Mishnah. It's not saying lo balal a Kohen. It's not true. Even lo balal at all, as long as you have the right proportions, it's going to be kosher. So the only problem we had was if you have to learn the second part as the first part. If you don't have to learn the second part exactly the way the first part, you have no kashas. So it comes out that lo yatzak means a Kohen didn't do the pouring, a zar did, it's still going to be kosher, and lo balal means that you didn't actually mix it. If you didn't mix it, it's still going to be kosher as long as you have the right ingredients. Good? And then you have no kasha, which is exactly the way that the Gemara over there learns it. Zak the Gemara. Where are we? Just lost my spot. Zak the Gemara. Oshe pitasa pitim merubas ksher. So again, I explained that in the Mishnah, it said that if you don't break it at all, right, let's imagine you have a korban mincha that's baked here, and you break off one piece, which the Kohen then goes and does the kamitah with. You break off the amount that he needs to do the kamitah with, and he does the kamitah. So we said that that's kosher if you only break off one piece. So I think Gemara says if you break it into large pieces, that's kosher. Gemara says it's pashut. I understand. If I only break off one piece, it's going to be kosher. So obviously, if I break it into many large pieces, it's going to be kosher. Says Gemara, "Hashalo pasas klal ksher pasin merubos mibayi." No. Says Gemara, "My pasin merubos sheriba bepetitin." So it must mean that when it says that you broke it into pitim merubos, it doesn't mean you broke it into large pieces. You broke it into many, many small pieces. Too many pieces. That means you're supposed to break it into 10 pieces. We originally thought you only broke it into 4 pieces. Says Gemara, what's the chiddush? It's obvious. Even if you break it into one big piece and one piece, it's kosher. Clearly, if you break it into 4 big pieces, it's fine. Says Gemara, no, the chiddush is that if you break it into 50 pieces, each one being tiny like crumbs, it's still going to be kosher. Says the Gemara, or you could say no, la'olam patim merubos mamish. No, it means you broke it into large pieces. And what's the chiddush? Umav de sema hasimudika toras chalos alein aval hachadul toras chalos al ika velo toras petitin ika kamash malan. What's the chiddush? That means even if you told me that if I broke off one piece for the kamitza, it's going to be kosher. That's because when I look at the remainder, it's basically one big whole piece almost. It's basically like a full matzah, let's say, with like one part missing. But you can look at it and say, oh, that's a matzah. But when I break it into 4 large pieces, it's not here and not there. It's not a matzah, but it's also broken into too many pieces. It's also not done the way it's supposed to be done, broken into 10 pieces. It's not here, not there. Kamash malan, that even if it's broken into large pieces, it's still going to be kosher. Says the Gemara, Lema masnisin delok Rabbi Shimon. New thing. So let's say our Mishnah is all like Rabbi Shimon, and we'll end with this today. Rabbi Shimon, again, our Mishnah says that a zar can do the first part. A zar can pour the oil. It seems from the following brisa that Rabbi Shimon holds that a zar cannot pour the oil. Where do we see that? Says the Gemara, Detanya, Rabbi Shimon Omer. Rabbi Shimon says, Kol kohen sheina modeh ba'avoda ein lo chelek b'kehuna. Any kohen who's not willing to accept and do the avoda that he's supposed to do does not have a chelek in the kahuna. Most importantly, does not have a chelek not only to do the avodas, he doesn't want to do the avoda, he can't have a chelek in the food that a kohen's supposed to get. If he's makriv the dam and the chelev, the blood and the fat, then he can get the shokai min lemana. If he doesn't do what he's supposed to do, he doesn't get the food. Rabbi Shimon says we only know that avoda. What avoda are we talking about when it says hamakriv? Not that he shachted. It means that he did what? He's not willing to do the halacha. We said hamakriv sometimes means halacha. So he wasn't willing to do the halacha of the dam or the emorin. which are supposed to be, again, zorek, zrika on the mizbeach, and the amorim, which are supposed to be burnt. He's not willing to do those avodas, he doesn't get a piece of the food. Where do we see that if he doesn't do the other avodas, he also doesn't get a piece of the action? Minayin l'rabos taz vav avodos. There are more than 15, but where do we see another 15 avodos? What are the 15 avodos that he might choose not to do? Many of them are the ones we just discussed. Hayitzikos, the pouring, v'ablilos, the mixing, v'apetitos, breaking, v'amalichos, salting, either this, the mincha, or regular korbanos, v'atnufos, whenever you have to wave, v'hagashos, whenever you have to bring it to the mizbeach, v'akamitzos, anytime you have to do kamitza. He's not willing to do any of these. Haktaros, anytime something needs to be burnt, v'hamalikos, anytime you have to do malika on the bird, v'hakabalos, any kabbalah of dam or kabbalah of anything, v'hazos, any sprinkling, v'hashka sota, giving the sota to drink, v'harifas egla, breaking the egla rufa, v'taras mitzora, making a mitzora tahor, unisios kapayim, bein b'rifnim, bein b'chutz. He's not willing to duchen, whether inside the temple or outside the temple. So where do you know minayin? How do you know that if he doesn't do any of these, even one of these 15, he's not going to eat the korban? He's not going to be able to eat anything that the Kohen's supposed to eat. Talmud lomar, because it says in the pasuk that what? Hamakriv es damshim as a chelev b'bnei Aaron lo tiyeh. Anybody who's part of b'nei Aaron, he only gets it if he's b'nei Aaron. What does it mean? Only if he gets it if he's b'nei Aaron. Avoda mesura leb'nei Aaron. Kol kohen she'eino modebo ein lo chelek b'kahuna. Only if he treats himself as b'nei Aaron is he going to get it. But what do you see from this brisa? After this long thing, besides for the interesting discussion, what do you see? Rabbi Shimon holds what? He holds a yesika is one of the avodos that if a kohen doesn't do, he can't get a piece of the kahuna. Can't get a piece of the food. That's clearly what? That clearly shows, you don't like it, but that clearly shows that what? That clearly shows that a kohen needs to do the yesika. Our Mishnah said what? That a zar is allowed to do the yitzika. Now one can say that lechatchila kohen should do the yitzika, but b'di'evet, if he doesn't, it's okay, but that's not what it sounds like. What?
Belilos is also on the avodas. Doesn't have to do that either.
Who said he doesn't have to do it?
Our Mishnah says.
No, again, we learned that balal means what? Balal. We said balal klal.
No one has to do it.
Right.
The Kohen can say, I'm not doing Belila, I'm not doing Yitzika either.
Right.
They say, you didn't do Yitzika, but the Belila, we don't care.
Right. Hinachanami. So the Gemara says, no, so again, you have to do the Belila just if you choose not to. But the point is that if somebody's going to do the Belila, it has to be a Kohen. If somebody's going to do the Yitzika, it has to be a Kohen. Clearly not like our Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Nachman lo kash. We're going to have two Rav Nachman answers, and they're going to be the same, really. Kan b'minchas kohanim, kan b'minchas Yisrael. No, the brisa that Rabbi Shimon says a Kohen needs to do it is by a minchas kohanim. There are certain minchas that a Kohen brings, and as we'll see in a second, the minchas that the Kohen brings are not, nothing is taken off. It's baked full, and then it's brought, the entire thing is burnt. The minchas Yisrael, and there's no kamitza done there. It's just you put flour and oil together, you bake it, you never take off a kamitza because you burn the entire thing. You only have to take off a kamitza to burn the kamitza if you're going to be eating the leftovers. But if you're not taking off a kamitza, there's no reason to, if you're not going to be eating anything, there's no reason to take off a kamitza. So by the minchas kohanim, you burn the entire thing. By minchas Yisrael, which is our Mishnah, you take off a kamitza. So therefore, our Mishnah, which says that what? Our Mishnah, which says that a zar can do the yitzika, that's talking about a minchas Yisrael. By a minchas kahuna, a zar cannot do the thing. We'll see why. Why? Minchas Yisrael debat kamitzahi. What's the pshat? Because if something has a bas kamitza, I mean, the minchas Yisrael needs kamitza. Mi kamitza ve'elach mitzvahs kahuna. Limeid al yitziko belila shakshera bizar. Minchas kohalim de la bas kamitzahi meikara baya kahuna. We'll see in just a second that the Torah says vayitzok aleha shemen v'natan aleha levona. So you put the shemen, again, you're taking the shemen and you're putting the shemen on top of the flour and you're putting the levona, you're mixing it first, you're mixing the shemen and the oil together. That's the yitzika, the pouring, the belila, the mixing. Then you're pouring the levona on top. Then it says what? Vehavia el b'nei Aaron ha-kohen v'kamatz. And you bring it to b'nei Aaron and he does the kamitah. What does that sound like? When do b'nei Aaron come into the picture? Not that they have to only, but you sound like it's only ma'akev that b'nei Aaron have to come into the picture where? By the kamitza, which sounds like what? By a regular korban where you're doing the kamitza, before the kamitza can be done by a zar. That's the source. But by a minchas kohanim where there is no kamitza, so you can't taina well until the kamitza can be done by the zar, there is no kamitza. So therefore by a minchas kohanim where there's no kamitza, that's what Rabbi Shimon's talking about, the kohen needs to do the entire thing. By a minchas Yisrael, where there is a kamitza, read the pasuk. Pasuk seems to imply what? That if there's a kamitza, the parts before the kamitza can be done by a zar, lo kashya, shalom Yisrael. Says the Gemara, Amalei Rava. Rava says there's only one problem with that, because it doesn't say anything. There's no pasuk really by a minchas kohen. Right, that whole pasuk is by a Minchas Yisrael. So Amalei Rava Michti, the last wide line, the first wide line, Minchas Kohanim Mehecha is Rabbi Liyitzika. Where does a Minchas Kohanim, where do you know that you need to pour the oil by a Minchas Kohanim in the first place? Minchas Yisrael. You learn it from a Minchas Yisrael where it says Veyatzak, where you pour. Mahasam Shera Bazar, Afachanamik Shera Bazar. You can't tell me that, you're telling me that by the Minchas Kohanim, Azar can't do it. By Minchas Yisrael, Azar can do the Yitzika. But the whole requirement of having Yitzika by a Minchas Kohanim in the first place is learned from a Minchas Yisrael. So you can't tell me that we're learning the requirement to pour from a Minchas Yisrael, but we're not going to learn that it can be done by Azar. You need to learn across the board. And therefore, just like by a Minchas Yisrael, Azar can pour, by a Minchas Kohen, Azar can pour as well. And therefore, we see that our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Shimon, and our Mishnah would say that even again, that Azar can pour across the board. And Rabbi Shimon would say that Azar cannot pour, definitely not by a Minchas Kohen at least. Ikka de Amre, going back to Amr of Nachman, again, it's going to be the same answer. This is Ikka de Amre on Rabbi Shimon versus our Brisa before we rejected. This is another answer to answer Rabbi Shimon versus our Brisa. It's the same exact answer, except it's adding other things. Amr of Nachman lo kashya, kan benik matzos, kan b'she'enik matzos. Our Mishnah is talking about things that have kamitza, which is not only the Minchas Kohen, which is not only the Minchas Yisrael, it's other Minchas as well, just adding other Minchas. And Rabbi Shimon was talking about things that don't have, Rabbi Shimon was talking about korbanos that don't have kamitza, amongst them being a Minchas Kohen, and therefore, since it doesn't have kamitza, again, it has to be done by a Kohen. The same question, the ones that don't have kamitza, like the Kohen one, where do you learn that it needs yitzika in the first place? Minik matzos, from the ones that have kamitza, like the Yisrael one. Binik matzos mahasam ksher bezar afach ksher bezar el mechaver tamasis and delok Rabbi Shimon. It comes out that the Mishnah is not like Rabbi Shimon, and again, our Mishnah says that Yitzika would be kosher across the board, bein b'minchas kohanim, bein b'minchas Yisrael, bein things that have kamitza, things that don't have kamitza. It would be kosher b'ezar, and Rabbi Shimon would seem to say, at least definitely by minchas kohanim, and maybe not by minchas Yisrael, but definitely at least by minchas kohanim, you have to have the one that's definitely by minchas kohanim, you need to have a kohen. My time at Dirabanan. So the Gemara asks what we just said. Amar Krav v'yatzak aleh Hashem v'nasan aleh levona v'aviel b'nei Aaron hakohen v'kamatz. This is what I just said. So the Gemara says, what's the reason for the Rabbanan? Why would it be okay by a Minchas Yisrael or by a Mincha that doesn't have Kamitza? Why would it be okay for the Kohen to not do the beginning part? Because the pasuk says, HaKohen HaKamatz mi Kamitza ve'elach mitzvahs kahuna limed al yitziko b'lilach sheshera bizar. That's what we said. But now the question becomes Rabbi Shimon. The pasuk clearly seems to say that from the Kamitza ve'elach. Rabbi Shimon, the way we're learning, says that what? That it's going to be kosher bizarre, that it's going to be pasal bizarre across the board, even the ones that have kamitza, the way Gemara seems to be learning now. So how's he going to learn that pasuk? Rabbi Shimon says, B'nei Aaron HaKohanim mikra nidrash lefanav u'la'acharav. Don't be so picky when you read the pasuk. V'yatzak aleh Hashem v'nasan aleh v'na v'aviyah b'nei Aaron HaKohen v'kamatz. You're assuming that v'aviyah b'nei Aaron HaKohen v'kamatz, that b'nei Aaron HaKohen is only going on the kamitza. But I'll tell you that this should be nidrash le'achara, but also lefanav. And when it says b'nei Aaron, it should not only be on the kamitza, it should be on the beginning parts as well. And therefore, Rabbi Shimon says, not only do the Kohanim have to do the kamitza, they have to do the yitzika and the blila. And have a wonderful day.